give us a quote. About the third meeting I was in, listening to the quote, which incidentally gave us more coverage, less money. The first guy that we had it with thought he had it in the bag, but we let him take his bag and go home with it because we took the other one. Plus, they gave us, I was interested in whether or not I had courage as a speaker on getting to know your Bible. I never thought I would even ask a question like this. How are we covered about sexual predators and all of that kind of thing? And they're going to insist, this insurance carrier is going to insist that when we hire somebody in a full-time capacity that they have to have a background check. That's a new one for us. That's a new one for us. About the third meeting I was in, I said, you know, guys, what are we doing? Why aren't the deacons doing this? I said, we don't have a bit of business in talking about insurance. And you know what they said? You're right. It's easy to get caught in that trap. Easy. You know, elders can get caught in talking about striping the parking lot and paving the parking lot and light bulbs and the toilet stopped up in the ladies' restroom. And I'm going to give you, I think, an answer to that in the next session. But that's trivia. They're not trivial if you go in the restroom and it's stopped up. That's not a trivial thing. But somebody else can take care of that while you're taking care of something else. There was a man who operated in the business world. He would go to someone's organization and he would do an analysis, and then he would come back with suggestions as to how they could improve their production or their business. And he said he learned there's two things hard for people to do. Number one, it's hard for people to think. Just think. Number two, he said he's found it's hard for people to do things in the order of their importance. He didn't get caught up in the trivia. He didn't say, now do we have enough mortar to go for today? Now, where are all the blocks that we're put? Is anybody, that somebody else was taking care of all of that. And then finally, he put his trust in God, and I want you to look at chapter 2 and verse 20. This is the last verse in that chapter. And if you don't remember anything else about this lesson, look, remember this one. I answered and said unto them, this is him speaking, the God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build, but you have no portion, no right, no memorial in Jerusalem. He's speaking to his opposition there. He put all of his trust in God. We have one of our ladies who became a widow. Her husband was a great man. He served as one of our elders for a number of years, and he had served as an elder in Montgomery, Alabama before moving to Summerdale. But upon his death, I didn't think that she would ever remarry. But she's a sojourner, if you know what sojourners are. I know you do. And she met a man out in Texas at Marshall at one of their meetings out there. And, well, now they're married. And he's a fine man. He served as an elder of the Lord's church. She had a 10-point list of if she ever married, they had to have all these. He had to, number one, he had to wear cowboy boots. I thought you were kidding me now, and you're kidding about that, but I think she was. But he's a fine man, and he served as an elder for a long time in Texas. And I had a situation come up with Summerdale one time, and I said something to him about it. You know what he said to me? He's older than I am, so he can call me young man. I don't mind somebody younger than me call me young man. I don't mind that at all. He did like this. He said, young man, just put your trust in him. It'll be all right. Just put your trust in him. It'll be all right. And you know, Harold is exactly right. Nehemiah put his trust in the Lord, and when we put our trust in Him, whatever comes, because they're going to be things. I have a friend that's from Elizabethton, Tennessee, and it's a good church there, about 350, 400, and I've been up there to speak for them in meetings and lectureships, and he and his wife come down our way, RVing every once in a while, and they were down for about 3 or 4 weeks. She had some lung problems. They thought the salt air of the Gulf of Mexico would help her, and I think it did. I'm trying to get them to move there for her health's sake. But we were talking about these matters, and they have a friend that's from Mobile, which is about 40 miles just due west of us, and so we were all eating together, and his friend is someone that's been my friend for years as well. And it's kind of odd how we all got together and to know one another. And he had been an elder for years. And he's sitting, his name is Gerald. And he's sitting to my right. And he's no longer an elder. And he mumbled under his breath, about all elders have to deal with is negative stuff. I think all he had to deal with, I knew where he was and what he was going through. I think all he had to deal with was negative stuff. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Surely there are some things that come up. There's a family having problems. You've got to deal with that. Help them. Do all you can to help them. And sometimes there's someone that's a little unhappy with what's going on. You sit down. I've learned the best thing to do is to sit down and talk to them. Sit down and talk to them right then. Don't let it fester. We've not always had elders at Summerdale because the church was young. It started in 1996 in someone's home. And so I remember when the first Sunday, the elders were appointed. I was one of them, the 4 other men. We had 5. We had been elders an hour and a half. Did you hear me? An hour and a half before someone came to me with a complaint about the man leading the singing. They said he ought not to be leading the singing, and they had a reason, they thought. So one of the other elders, Ralph had moved from Huntsville. He had been an engineer at NASA, and he was more brilliant than he even knew. And he said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to call him in, we're going to talk to him." They said, "When are we going to do that?" I said, "Today. We're not going to wait, we're going to do it today." And we did, and we tried to believe the guy, but it was a pretty serious thing they charged. We tried to believe him, he tried to convince us, but eventually, to our delight, he decided to move away somewhere else. And that delighted us. But you just need to take care of things and put your trust in God. Trust God. Let's rise up and build. Now, what we ought to do right now, I think, is rise up and go get another cup of coffee. What do you think?